sharing, somebody can sit here,
Yeah.
somebody can sit,
Here,
somebody can sit there.
any place there's a microphone.
First page of Dittrick Associates report financials.
Good, good, how are you? Yeah, probably not, so this is fairly new.
Nick and Tom. Yeah, Nick and Tom.
Yeah.
Well, that's a
It
disclaimer.
took me,
Yeah, right.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I called him either. I wish maybe would have called me and told me, 'cause they passed it up, I really wasn't part of the meeting. But, and they passed it up. Ron did show up on time. I mean, he was like the last minute, but he was on time.
Because Jess texted me and said, is Ron coming? So I called him.
Yeah, oh, you did?
Yeah, he didn't answer.
Oh, he
Then-
was on his way. I
Then
mean,
just texted me and said he got there.
Yeah, he was there. Maybe a minute.
Dave, you got one?
Got one? I told him, ask everybody, I'll just fill in.
So have you never been to, Observatory Park? Oh, yeah.
Much better,
Oh, and you still didn't recognize that?
much better with Nick.
Oh,
Did
I'm
you get
sure.
one of these?
I do. I have.
Okay. Hi. Staying out of trouble?
No, I didn't. No, I didn't.
Yeah?
But
It's
I've-
cool,
But
isn't
I've
it?
only,
It looks like a,
yeah,
it looks like something out of outer space.
yeah.
Yeah. We're gonna have you and Bill stand up and say, who wears it best?
No, I thought that we got the same do.
What's that?
We got the same do.
I'll have you and Bill stand up and say, who wears it best?
Oh, yeah, like People Magazine.
She wears it much better. Me. The agendas are right there on that table.
Get this mask on. I can't stand. We're far enough away.
Hi. How are you?
Okay, so it's, 6 o'clock. We'll call the meeting to order.
You know.
Could I have, are there any changes?
Make sure that you're talking to the mic and that it's on.
You want to give them that instruction?
Yeah, if everybody looks at their microphones, when the little hat is up, that means it's on. You'll also hear yourself amplify through the speakers. And then when it's off. So this is so our viewers online can participate.
Button's tall, it's on.
It's always on. Mine doesn't go on. Just saying.
Kim, if you lean into it, you'll be able to tell if it's on or off. You just have to talk into the microphone.
She says it doesn't shut off.
It's on. No, it doesn't shut off. But don't worry.
Other thing for his punch list.
Yeah, really.
And make sure you lean into it to talk.
Yes, sir. Got it.
All right, so now, are there any additions or deletions to the agenda? Leslie, Ben, anything?
No.
Okay, then we'll, could I have a motion to accept it's hard to believe it's been 1 year, but that's when when COVID struck and we kind of stopped all meetings for a while. The minutes of March 10th, 2020 meeting. Do I have a motion to accept the meeting minutes?
I'll motion.
Were you there, Scott?
I was.
Okay. Second.
But I just had to read the minutes to know
Second.
that I was.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, so they're accepted. Old business, the TLCI transportation study, is that still on hold?
It is still on hold until we can have meetings of 10 or more.
Okay,
Because that's the next, we've done everything that we could do up to this point throughout the last year that didn't involve public participation. And unfortunately, this kind of study is public participation, and that's what you want with it, so.
So what was done
So they analyzed
besides
the
taking our money?
how much do we have into that?
16,000. They analyzed the data, they did the walking, the village. They've looked at read and compiled other studies, visited with NOACA. I do have a list of everything that's been done that has to get submitted because it has to get submitted to us, NOACA, and ODOT in order for them to get paid.
So how much of it is still valid? All of it?
All of it is still valid.
Did they do traffic counts and all that?
No, NOACA and ODOT put a hold, well, actually not ODOT. NOACA put a hold on all traffic counts because the traffic patterns they were worried would be skewed because of people they're not traveling the normal way they would. So traffic counts have not even been done yet.
Well, didn't we have a $90,000 grant to do this
Yeah,
study?
it's still taxpayers' money. I mean,
Right, but the 16,000 comes out of that grant, not our village money, correct?
Right, we have been reimbursed for those.
Yes. I'll just make that clear and on the.
Yeah, right.
No problem.
Okay. So when do you say we can't continue until we can have meetings of 10 people or more?
Yeah, so I'm assuming that order will come off when the 50 per 100,000 hits, which I would anticipate since we're around 100 right now to state average, it's in a couple months, I would hope.
So why is there 3 million people in the state of Ohio?
11 million?
So at 50 per 100,000, didn't we only have 1,000 cases the other day? It seems to me like it's way below 50 per 100.
I don't know how to calculate that. I don't.
50 per 100,000 would be 500 per million, and so if you're at 11 million people, that would be 5,500.
Yeah, and the other day there was 1,000 cases. Like,
Yeah.
to me, we're way under the, I thought it was only 3 million that we were under. So 11 million,
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there's 11 million in Ohio.
That is correct.
is it?
Thank you, Scott.
I'm here for you. I counted them the other day.
Thanks.
So Leslie, you're in occasional communication with this group?
Yes, I am. We also amended our main contract, so we did extend it through the end of 2021. Otherwise, the contract itself would have expired, so we are in contact.
Any other questions, people? For that? Okay. On to new business. 2020 year-to-date financials.
This is just, Bill, you had asked to maybe just give a snapshot to the committee of how the village ended the year for 2020.
Yes, yes.
So I just submitted the statement of cash report, and that actually just shows you each fund, your beginning and ending balances, and where we were at throughout the year.
Basically, we did pretty good through COVID. We actually gained, in fact. That's not to say with the laws potentially changing going forward, that will remain, but we did pretty good because of the cost cutting and some of the changes we made as it was occurring. Ben, you want to add anything?
I'd say the carryover went from 6.6 or 6.7 to 7.9, which is, to me, that's all that matters. Income tax was flat, cost-cutting expenses were cut, so your carryover increased.
Right.
If you size a business to the revenue stream, you can always be successful. Not, if you have no business, you can't make something out of nothing, but if you size it, and we did a pretty good job of doing that by going back to 2018 revenues and the event, well, fortunately, they stayed flat, and we cost cut beyond flats, so.
How does that CARES Act funding work into this?
It's in there. Yeah,
My eyes went cross.
Sure. The CARES Act fund is under, give me a second, B25.
25?
Yeah, B25, like,
I see it now.
yeah, I know, I feel like I'm doing bingo. But that's the fund line that will show you the in and outs for those dollars.
Got it. Thank you.
Does anybody have any
In
other?
addition, we were able to do capital improvements as scheduled, which to me is, if you don't maintain a village, you're not doing your job. So thankfully, we had the foresight to increase the income tax by 0.25%, raise water rates about 3%. We didn't do it this year, but the year before, because it made us, we still have, we have projects slated for this year. You've got to keep it in shape. I mean, you can't let it deteriorate, so we were able to do that as well.
We got a deal on this Terra Creek entrance, this paving. Didn't we get kind of a nice break?
Oh, they
Because
did more than they thought they could do for the money. It was
Came in underestimate,
not
yeah.
bid exactly right, so I guess that's good.
Now, we're going to do the second half after the construction's done?
They're going to pay for the second half. You see how they're tearing that up there?
Yeah, whew. Looks like a dirt road now.
You should have hit your button.
This is online, right? Okay. All right, good. Does anybody have any questions or like any more other financial information separate from, this is really a real quick snapshot, so if you would like any other information, just let us know. All right, number 2, planning and zoning news.
Yeah, the only major project coming up from that standpoint is Briar Hill, which I don't know if everybody in the room is aware of the changes they're looking to make across the street. You've got from the corner of Terra Creek coming this way on the west side. Those first 3 homes are owned by Briar Hill. They all look different. A lot of them have that green moss on the outside, all that kind of stuff. Those are all going to be facelifted. They own 4 individual lots up there. They're going to consolidate all of them. We're going to rezone it for them. In fact, it's on the docket for the next meeting tonight. And then they're going to put like 7 new buildings in there as well as rehab the 3 existing buildings. So it's really going to be a beautiful improvement to that corner. I was thinking the other day, Laura and I walked by there, all those trees that are right there, I'm assuming those are all going to come down. But it's going to be a really beautiful improvement to that whole corner, much like they've already been doing. So that's the main thing as far as planning and zoning going on in the village now.
There's a metal factory coming in on Bonner property,
Oh, yeah, true.
which
Yes.
is, but what are they targeting, 60 employees?
Yes,
60 or 16?
60.
60.
60.
Where are we going to get them?
Well, that's the thing, I said, you're peppered with signs. That's one of the reasons we're going to talk tonight about it. Everyone here, the income tax stayed flat. Had everyone been fully employed in this village, Kraft made needs 300 people. Or Flambeau needs 60 people. You need 30 people.
30, 35?
30 people. It's like, so, you kill to bring a factory in for 60 jobs. Think if Kraft May would get fully employed with 300 more people. I mean, that's 5 of those factories. And no infrastructure costs, no added burden to the village other than more people coming to work in the same complex. So now we got to figure out a way to make this place for these guys. I talked to HC Companies, my former company, which was Dillon, yesterday, and they said every one of the growers are in trouble because the demand exceeds what they can provide. And they can't provide it because the manufacturers can't get material. Plastic pellets were 50 cents 6 months ago. They're $1.20 today.
If you can find them.
And you can't find it.
Yeah.
So they haven't got pots to put the stuff in. And if they did have the material, they haven't got people to run the machines. So you can't produce to your maximum. So it's just a vicious circle. And I think the problem with the manufacturers, the resin suppliers, in fact, they can't find people to create everybody's got the same problem. Labor solves it all. So I think the natural resources are there if we can get people to run the equipment. This COVID gave everyone the excuse not to go to work, paid them to stay home, gave an excuse. They were afraid to come to work. I saw the Cleveland teachers the other day. They're still, balking at that. It's like, this is ridiculous. Go back to work. If you don't want to go to work, stay home and figure out how you're going to eat. Because it infuriates me to see how we've given everyone an excuse to be inefficient, ineffective, and non-productive. And it's acceptable today. So anyhow, we got some good things coming to this village. If you've been by the ODOT garage, I complain about the way they're tearing the road up. It's going to be a nice-looking facility. It's going to be highly employed. It's going to be a utility user. The 3 things we sell are, water, sewer, and income tax, and they're going to be a provider of all those in a big way. So we got that factory on 528. There's someone else looking at 30 more acres out there. We've got ODOT coming in. Scott mentioned Omens up here, Briar Hill. So we should have a positive year if things
Stay positive.
don't collapse. So.
Any questions or comments?
I think the Omen project is really exciting from the standpoint that is exactly the kind of redevelopment activity that we need. We really do. This core area has been distressed in certain parts of it for far too long. So I hope this kickstarts some more.
It's an
I
excellent
think the
point.
rest of us do too.
That's an excellent point. Success breeds success. And you'll see that in some neighborhoods where somebody does something and somebody else will take off from that. So I fully agree.
Okay, update on county and state marketing for industry. Leslie, I saw a,
Yeah, I just,
For the Bonner property?
just to kind of give you some things, just on a higher level, a more macro level. The region is marketing our property, the Bonner property, as one of its neo-right sites. So that marketing is being done. They take it to all their selectors. We are still going through the process of becoming certified. I sat at another call today where we were one of 11 in the state that's waiting to be certified. We just have a couple items, they're fairly large items, but those items need to be worked with, and once we get through them, that site will be certified as well. And that allows the state to say this is a preferred site. And that's a lot of work, but it gives us good exposure internationally, as well, so.
Great job. That was really good to get that, too. And right now, we have what, just the Bonner property on there?
Yeah, there's very specific, metrics that you have to meet.
Criteria, yep.
Yeah,
yep.
in order to be part of the program. If you remember, we actually started out using Ford's property, and in turn, it kind of morphed into Bonner's property.
Okay, the new sign. I don't know if you've noticed that this sign out here has been kind of fizzing out. We're going to use that as just a stationary sign. It won't even be electrified. So we'll get something on both sides, Middlefield Village Hall or something. Mask up, I don't know. But there is, as you can see in the packet, a little further down, there's some pictures and renderings of the new sign. Ben, you want to talk about that? I think, and I'll let Ben tell you where it's going to be.
Yeah, so we had talked how ineffective this one is. First of all, not everyone goes north in the village. There's not much out there to go to unless you're going home or going to work that way. And when I go to Chardon, I sit at that light when I'm coming, I guess it's from the west to the east, by the theater, the old theater. You would sit there and you read their sign by default. I mean, you have nothing else to do, so you're reading the sign. So I thought we should get our sign where it's more visible, and this isn't the spot. So we plotted it today. They're going to pour the footers tomorrow, actually, for in the Pocket Park downtown. So it's going to sit in the center of town. We can program from here, which will be good, and give it more visibility. So hopefully, Scott was there today. Hopefully, you'll be able to see it very well coming from the east. Be able to see it coming from the north.
Oh,
You'll see it from the north. I mean, you can
Well,
see it
right.
from the north, too. If you're sitting, when you're stacked up, you can see it. The only thing is, you're not going to see it much from the west unless you're sitting there and kind of look this way, because it's going to be diagonal across the front of that park. But most of the people that come from the west don't come this far east anyhow. I mean, they kind of come in from Burton and stop at the Walmart area and turn around.
yeah.
I had to guess, it looks a little bigger than that one in Chardon. A little
think it's-
longer?
It's 4 by 8.
4 by 8 about, yeah.
So it's 8 foot wide. It's going to have better optics on it, which will be a nice improvement. And I think when people are stopped at a red light, when you go by here, the only way I read it was I pulled in the parking lot and watched it flip through to see what was on it. So if people are stopped at a stoplight, they'll get more value out of it. I think we can do a lot of notification through that sign, hopefully, so.
Will that show moving things like videos and stuff? Are we, is the resolution that good?
Possibly. I haven't been trained on it yet, so I'm going
Oh,
to say
okay.
possibly.
Well, that will be
I know there's a way to put like photographs and things up.
Right.
But again, just remember, it is 8 feet by 4 feet, so it's not gonna, it may not translate as well as you
Scoreboard at
want
Brown
it to be.
Stadium is like, 50 feet, but.
Right.
I know, but we don't have that type of
Yeah,
resolution.
we don't have 4.2 million in this?
No.
What's the size of the sign out here,
Uh,
the display part?
I had to
probably
guess,
4 by,
yeah, probably
4 by 6,
I think it's
maybe.
6 foot. No,
Bigger.
Bigger.
A little bit bigger.
But the display will only be on one side.
Yeah, it is only a single side.
Yikes.
Where is he on vacation?
that's in case anybody was falling asleep.
Yeah, that's a wake-up call right there.
Gonna drink tonight, but.
All right, Ben touched on it. Any other questions about the sign?
What's that material on the top side there where you've got Village of Middlefield? What's that made of?
It's the same, I think it's PVC is the actual material. It's the same material that's used on the entrance signs.
Good, good.
It's from the same designer too, so it incorporates everything. Everything kind of flows together.
Is that real stone we're using there? Is that real masonry?
Yes, it is.
Good face.
Make sure we spray that with some protective.
So the guy that's doing it is Freeman Miller. Anybody you know him? He is the best mason in the state, probably in the country. I mean, he's just phenomenal. The things, everything I see, he's done a few jobs for me personally, but everything he does is absolutely meticulous. So he must have called me 15 times a day about this stinking footer. It's like, we got, so it'll look good.
I just
So
want
I'll-
to make sure the salt doesn't get to it. is what I'm-
Right.
It's far enough back,
Far enough back?
probably 10 feet from the sidewalk. Because Joe pointed out today, you don't want the snow to mound up from plowing and blocking it, and then also there's wires that run between the or the poles there, and there's a fire hydrant close by, so yeah, it's back about 10 from the sidewalk.
Hey, Ben, when we talked about repurposing the sign out here, somebody mentioned to make it look like, use the same designs as our four, entrance. Are we going to do that?
Yes.
Maybe just shake your head next time.
You know, it's weird, I know it's not your fault, Leslie, but I am starting to get pissed at you. It's really good. No, I'm just kidding.
All right, going on then, let's talk about workforce. So Ben kind of brought it up earlier with all these new companies and growth, just in general. We're an industrial hub of Geauga County, and our industry is just starving for people. We need to get creative and come up with solutions to help them get creative to find the next source of labor. In thinking this, I'm thinking, of course, we have a very large Amish population, and I think the farming has kind of gone downhill. So how do we get them in the, from young ages? Moms, stay-at-home moms or dads, as a part-time. But the company's going to have to be flexible with hours and days and even call-offs, if you start dipping into that level. Leslie sent some things to me about, work release programs. I mean, companies may have to, look at their policies and maybe change those and do some pretty good screening, but I think that's a possibility. I mean, and you really got to look at everything. Any other comments? Ben, you want to?
Leslie and I talked the other day, I think the biggest issue we have is transportation.
Right, yeah.
Population here doesn't support, 12,000 employees, so they got to drive. If we had housing in this area that was affordable, and I really don't want it in the village, I mean, I shouldn't have said that, but anyhow.
We don't have the infrastructure right now to support a multi-housing facility, but if it was nearby, it would make transportation a lot easier for those having affordable housing where those families could be.
If you made, people are coming from areas that aren't as safe as here, that don't have they have the amenities that we have, but they're not as convenient as ours. We have an unzoned township out there that, lets things, it's like, I think we really should be talking about how we partner on creating some housing that can be rentals at affordable rate. I mean, if you can rent an apartment for $500 in Warren, or you can rent an apartment in Middlefield, and you want a job, where would you live? You live in Middlefield.
Mm-hmm.
So I really think we need to look at somehow to create some kind of a
Affordable housing.
and some kind of a transportation system that, these temp agencies are all working independently. And the problem they have is, if any of you experience it, one person gets sick, well, they either sit in the lunchroom till the end of the shift, or you lose 5 people and not one. The company should, they got Grubhub and everything else today running cars everywhere. There should be a way that we can work together. Companies can work together to provide some kind of transportation. If this company has somebody who's got to go home at 2 o'clock because they're sick, this company's got, and not destroy a whole workforce, because every van that's got 12 people, it's a hardship. So I just think we need to think, and you can talk, it doesn't do any good. You got to figure out a way to throw some money at it, throw some activity towards it, actually makes a difference between us and somewhere else. So Dave, do you have any,
Well, your issue in the township, no infrastructure, Ben.
I know,
No sewer and water. That's the obvious limitation. And so unless we're willing to somehow partner some way, somehow, I don't know the details on that, but that's the limitation, quite
what
frankly.
I'm saying, you have a threeplex sitting down here on 608 that's got a septic tank, and I'm sure that's very affordable. So I'm saying there, you can put a septic tank, a fourplex and a septic tank, a fourplex septic, I just think there's ways to do it.
Well, what about the land that's just west of Precision Orthopedic? I know those guys have, like where they wanted to extend the bypass at one point, those guys have come in here before. They wanted to put the church there, and that's Middlefield Township. What if the township and the village went together on something where, and you put some apartments out there or something? Yeah, I don't know.
I'm
Or
saying, I think we need to be thinking about
they
it.
could get the infrastructure if we did a JED.
Yeah, you do that, you could figure that out, sure. Yeah.
Because, that's the thing is, the people, you want them to come from, do you want me to bring up that bus thing or no? Because, it works in Elkhart. So in Elkhart, Indiana, where I do a lot of business, they actually have negative unemployment in Elkhart because they have more workers than people. Okay, you could almost say that about Middlefield. We have more employees than we do residents. So they send buses from Elkhart to Gary, Indiana, where there's very high unemployment, and they go over there at 6 a.m., they pick up like 40 guys on a bus, they bring them to Elkhart for the 7 a.m. shift, then at 3 p.m. when the guys get off, they take them home by 4. And then they run another bus for a second shift. Because these guys have, there's just thousands of employees in Elkhart, Indiana, it's huge. And it works very well for them.
Who pays for the busing?
The companies themselves, because the companies are so big, they have a bus all to themselves.
Oh, I see.
But now here in Middlefield, I don't know if the companies would want to like somehow get together and, figure out a way to where it's like, okay, this bus comes, but just like school drops off kids at 5 different houses after school, the bus goes to Warren or Newton Falls or wherever there's people, bring them here, drop them at the 3 industrial sites, then pick them all up at the end. And it solves the transportation need of somebody from Warren that needs a job but can't get here reliably. And I think a bus, like a brand new bus, I think costs in the $80-some thousand range to $150, depending what you get. But this obviously wouldn't need a lot of bells and whistles. And I even, like you said, Ben, if Kraft-Made hires their 300 people, that's $150,000, give or take, in income tax we get. So, the village could even, in my opinion, pony something into this. And then, maybe the village provides the bus, but then the companies pool together, and however many the employees they bring in each month, they pay their share of whatever it costs for that driver and the gas and the insurance and something. But, they put an investment into that end, and we help out on our end, and you bring in 80 people from Warren, or hell, it'd be great if someday we need 4 buses, and it just was running people in and out.
Wages have gone up considerably in the last 4 years, in my opinion. But it's still, if you're making $15 an hour, that's 35, it's hard to afford a decent car, pay rent, pay gas, pay insurance. It's hard to, and that's the issue. They have a car, it's not that dependable,
Right.
because they're not, so if you get transportation as a given, it takes away a lot of the headache of employment.
Well, and one of the companies out in Elkhart even charges each of the workers $1 each way. So it's $2 for them, which isn't a ton of money if they're going and making 25, because in Elkhart, they're paying 25 and $30 an hour for just guys running forklifts. The unemployment is so, they have such a need out there, their wages have skyrocketed. So, they pay $2 to go earn 300 that day. That's a no-brainer for the guy riding the bus.
Yeah.
I'm saying if you paid $5 a day, it's a lot cheaper driving a car, paying insurance, like,
Amish taxi, anything, yeah.
I know that Herman's Pickle Farm has done it for years. He picks all of his employees up, gives them breakfast, and takes them home. Never has a labor problem.
Down there by Garrettsville?
Home. He does a milk run.
Oh.
Where are they?
Garrettsville.
From around
Around
Garrettsville?
him?
Yeah, yeah,
I know where he is,
yeah.
but I mean,
But he provides all the transportation to the job and back, and feeds them.
Why those pickles are so good.
But, we're talking the other day, if Dillon has a 1,000-ton machine down, it's $400 an hour, sitting there doing nothing. How much can you spend to make that machine run? If it costs you $100 an hour, you're $300 a hit. So, go ahead.
The key is both housing and transportation, because
We need to, I think we should be meeting with the township, with the factories, and talking about how we, like you said, Bill, they need to put some coordination to their hours. We used to ask them to do different hours to keep the traffic at a minimum, it's like, forget it. You need to, Crab Meat's got 4 10-hour shifts, Dillon's got 12-hour shifts, this company's got this company. You really need to make this thing work. You really need to get a commonality among all of them that makes it work. And I think there's some federal money too, isn't there, Leslie, for this? Didn't you send something?
Yeah, so I've been talking with NWACA. We are representative on their rural advisory board as well. So we've been discussing maybe some different programs that they can help with the transportation side, maybe do something unique through the Paradox program, so.
how about the housing side of it? Would there be any federal money toward that?
That depends on it depends on what the project looks like. Potentially, yeah, you could, depending upon what type of housing you wanted to put in. But that would all depend upon the developer and then what they would want to do with their property.
It'd be nice if you could limit it to employees of those companies. You don't live here if you don't work at one of the companies that are part of this consortium that's helping provide that. And I think if you privately fund it, there's a way to do that. It's like 55 and over, you can do it if it's,
That's an incentive to stay as well,
you don't want to
working.
bring in, you don't want to bring in an element you don't want to see because it's cheap housing. You want to make it so it benefits the factories that,
Right.
Yeah, it would kind of mirror how some agriculture companies do migrant worker housing. It would be the same thing. Those workers that only work for that company live there pretty much, so.
Right.
let's watch that Men That Build America. You ever watch that series? The Food That Build America, the steel, the Carnegies and all those, how they built this country. And back in the day, because cars weren't that prevalent, that's what they did. They would build a village around their factory, and their employees would live there. I mean, they did that so they could draw, they couldn't get employees, you had to walk to work. You're not gonna walk 15 miles. They built a community around them. So it's like, kind of back to that, where you gotta have it, even though we have cars, the people that can't afford them, that would make it a viable.
Bill Pryor had that idea. He is the founder of Connecticut, and unfortunately, he passed away before he could pull it off. But that was his vision in Newberry. He bought enough property over there where he could have done something like that with employee housing. But again, unfortunately, he didn't live long enough. But yeah, it was a great idea.
And even an RTA type system.
Right.
You got 10,000 employees here. That's a lot of customers. If everyone could save money by doing it and it was convenient, maybe a portion even could afford it would take advantage of it because it's more convenient, not to fight the snow. It's like, so we got to be thinking about transportation and housing, in my opinion. How do we do it? Because that's going to be the key to making these guys. find a way.
Transportation is certainly the quickest route, because to build homes or apartments and then get them, people in there.
Does it make sense to contact Warren Municipal and ask them if we tried to look into some type of a bus program, would you have people there that would want jobs in Middlefield to see what their thoughts on it would be?
I think Warren has a bus system. They did years ago. I don't know if they still do. Like the Cleveland RTA. I wonder if they could run it out here.
Well, I'm sure Warren would like to keep their people, so to speak, but if they have a lot of people unemployed and they can get them employed,
They got more people than jobs, I know that.
And they're going to get it on the tax side.
right.
Plus they probably would charge more for the trip.
So they have, like, our equivalent, we're part of the MPO where NOACA is, they have their equivalent, and the name is escaping right now, but they have an economic development arm. So we can reach out to them and see if you can create a partnership through that way, through the transportation, because then you actually may open up more avenues to maybe start connecting where the two end, because the two planning areas end at the county lines.
Yeah.
So you're not going to get them to cross, but if you could get them to create some sort of cohesion, kind of like Summit County did with Cuyahoga County most recently in this general area, Northeast Ohio, I think you could create that cohesion to start moving people, transportation-wise.
I think we should do something north toward Lake as well, maybe Paynesville area. I mean, that's another area I think that has a high unemployment.
Agree?
So let's see, what's east? Boy, east would be tough.
Yeah, no, you're not gonna get people from Auburn and Bainbridge and, you know, maybe south going, but, yeah, I think north, like you just said, and east are the two places we'd find people.
So can you do that, Leslie? Can you reach out to that group in Warren? What did you say the name of it was?
So the name escapes her.
It escapes me, but hold
Oh,
on, I'll look it up.
I thought you said something.
They're good, I like them.
Yeah. I just saw a startup somewhere out there that used them and got employees because they brought them employees. And I can't remember the details to it. But I think they're pretty active.
Years ago, I went through a factory up in New England from Pentapure, and their factory was almost 100% Hmongs. He actually he did that. He built them a town and imported this group of people from Taiwan maybe, or Vietnam. I can't remember where exactly it was, but it did well for him.
Called Eastgate.
Eastgate. Okay, so you can reach out to them. Kim, does this come up at all in chamber meeting discussions?
Not at this level, everybody. As
Tim,
far
can
as
you talk in your mic? They won't be able to hear you.
Push your-
Testing, yeah, so, not, on a small business level, everybody's struggling for employees, me included. And my experience over the last month is I've had interviews set up with probably 20 people, and they just don't show up. And I don't know if it's unemployment or what it is, but that's what we're thinking is that. And they're confirmed employments. They confirm with my calendar. They're coming in, and they just don't show. No explanation, no nothing.
I think, isn't it part of the requirement to get you unemployment, you gotta be looking?
Yes.
Maybe that's it. That's what I'm
So
thinking.
you look,
is
but you
is
don't
that
really don't want
They say
one.
they got an interview, and is that enough of an excuse to keep their money?
And Leslie, we can't get numbers out of the local unemployment, right?
Not for the number that you asked me, no, they don't have like a list of,
Like the list of
Seekers.
who's
You
looking
can't-
for work right now.
if you were looking for that, I would look at everybody who has their resumes posted in job sites, job seekers, if that's what you're looking for. But as far as getting them from the state, I don't have any way to obtain that information.
Send a letter to unemployment saying anyone within a 30-mile radius of Middlefield is drawing unemployment, shut it off.
Yeah.
We
That'd
can
be
put
great.
them to work.
Let's start an ad saying just that. Okay, any other thoughts or ideas? Dave?
What are we
Dave?
gonna do about this? We're gonna talk to that group, that Eastgate group? We should
Meet
try to
with the
get.
township.
We should get a meeting with the township, we should get a meeting with at least Craftmate, and, I don't know, Mercury Bill?
Sure, they're not in the village. Well, they do have a
Got a facility.
right, a facility in the village, so yes. And who'd you say the other, oh, the new company? Or HC, yeah, maybe.
HC.
Some of the bigger industries.
In Flambeau. We'll get Sowie, Scherzer? Who from Mercury?
It's probably going to be Suzanne LaRocca.
Ned Perkins has put billboards up. I mean, they've been advertising for a year. The sign-on bonuses, I mean, it's pathetic.
The housing thing is tough, though. That's,
Mm-hmm.
I do know a guy who works for Redwood. You know Redwood, don't you?
Yep.
Higher end, though, but
Well,
might be worth a conversation with him because he travels in a lot of those circles you see. That
I
maybe
don't,
it'd be a source. I'm not saying that Red would be interested, but.
I'm not sure of what Redwood is. You mind expanding?
they're going to do that thing on 422.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
they do, their forte is, rental units. Their rent usually starts about 1,500 a month, but it's, single-story, units, really nice floor plan, couple bedrooms, garage, and all that, but, what I'm saying is, he might be able to lead us to some other entity who would be more in the range that we're talking about. It's just a thought. I don't. But that's a tough thing to do.
You look at the units that Andy's putting up, the rule of thumb on rental is it should be 1%. So you spend 50 grand for a place, you ought to get 500 a month for it. So you look at a fourplex, if you put it up for 250,000 and get 600 bucks a month for it, the numbers work. And I really think you can do it if you just build it to be solid, not
You don't go crazy.
put granite countertops in, but you're making
Yeah.
it livable, and, I really think the numbers can work. So it might be attractive to someone privately, but Redwood that's probably a good idea.
I'm just saying he might,
Say, hey, you can't do it for that today.
yeah, I'm just saying he might be somebody we could talk to with it. Where's Herbie Luxembourg when you need him? That's the other.
Yeah. I say you've got those apartments there, what is it, 360 units in there? I mean, there's a ton of apartments in there,
Where's that at, sir?
village, apartments.
Oh, is there that many over there? Wow.
And I'm saying that, and that's fairly reasonable rent. So it's not like we don't have a place, but it's just, I don't know,
Are they full?
Those apartments down on Grove and Lake Street, I mean, those are like nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, as far as looking from the outside, they're more money.
And they're full. Let's see vacancy signs.
So the people in the apartments, by the library you're talking, where do most of those people work? Doesn't live there, any idea?
we had a few people that worked for me out there that lived there. Not many. I mean, it's not full of people working in Middlefield. No. You wanna see where they're coming from, go out there at the end of shift at 6:08 and 5:28.
Yeah. Yep.
It's like New York City. And they're lined up at Parkman at 422 for a mile and a half at certain times of the day. It's like, I don't
Yeah.
know what it's like.
You know, just talking out loud here, but,
Sorry, I wasn't talking to the mic.
so you were talking out soft. So talking out loud, Tom Page, at the end of Glen Valley there that goes out to 528, that portion of that, it was 12 acres and that one thing and like 40 still. That Tom Page's family trust would probably sell that to a developer for a decent price as far as putting up townhouses or something out there. Because that's kind of what I was thinking from I was like, if you could do a row of townhouse, or 100 of them, whatever, that sold for like 150 grand each or something, that a factory worker couldn't afford. I don't know if you can sell a townhouse for 150, a modest 2-bedroom. You put up rows of them.
That's about the price point that Cottonwood is going for. Those sold out before they were even done building them, if you remember, a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
So.
I mean,
And with the 60 workers that they want to hire, there's got to be some higher paying jobs as well. So some people are going to be able to afford the houses currently in Woodsong and Glen Valley. Some will need apartments.
yeah.
That's a problem, you can make it affordable, but if you don't have $10 to put down on it, you can't buy it.
Yeah.
financing.
I think a lot of renters could afford it. If they could get it, they could afford it. What they're paying for rent, they could afford a house, but they can't get the nickel together to get it
Yeah,
bought.
it would take, like, you would need to also bring in another partner, like a nonprofit, community development partner, that received funding from like HUD or something like that to help with down payment assistance, in order to make, oh, okay. It's a spider. I'm done for the day.
It won't bite you, trust me.
What do you got over there, a pet?
Later.
Later?
How's our cleaning crew doing?
Great. I've called them too. I've called Dan.
Any other thoughts, guys and girls?
Well, I know you guys, I think when you started this EDC, you guys used to meet weekly, right?
We did, yeah.
And then
so-
did you go to monthly?
Then we went yearly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. So, you
So
know,
would this group be willing to, that's probably where you were going, I was thinking about.
I would think we should at least go back to monthly, like let her make some phone calls that we've just talked about, you know,
Absolutely,
you talk to
absolutely.
your guy from Wedwood or whatever, and just maybe get back to doing this on a standing Tuesday before planning and zoning to
Yeah,
try to
this
get
time
some
slot.
momentum behind it.
Yeah, this time slot is always reserved for this meeting.
That sound good, people? Okay.
It'll be the week of the second Thursday.
Tuesday before the second Thursday. So it could be the first or second Tuesday,
Tuesday.
depending on, it's the Tuesday before the second Thursday.
On the off months and then, no,
Yeah, months with ours.
Carry the one.
unless it's an even date.
But yeah, because I mean, there's some decent ideas with the housing, the busing, whatever, but you know, gotta meet.
We should at least get people involved that have the need. And say, we're here to help with this, and say, hey, here's, I think what, they'll have the answer. They may not have the way to do it, they'll have the answer what they need. So we sit here and, I think we need to get this ball rolling.
And maybe like you mentioned, some of those guys that have the most need in the village, invite them to this meeting. You know, brainstorm with them.
Yeah, maybe they have some thoughts that we could all expound on.
Should.
Or we talk about a bus where we try to help, then that owner of that company says, hey, let me call these three owners, maybe we can do, you know, they're also making calls, and then everybody's active, you know? I don't know, just thought.
I know the temp agency at HC brings them in vans.
Where do they get them?
Well, I think he's provided some housing for them too. And he picks them up and brings them in, so it's like, it gets to the work, but they're still starved for people. I mean, that didn't solve it. We got to get away from this, pay me to stay home. I mean, just,
Yeah.
the other thing, I sent that email yesterday about 30 days until DeWine announces COVID's over. We continue to collect income tax from people that have been relocated due to COVID. After the 30-day window is over, after he announces COVID's over, and then 30 days after that, the way I read it was, at that point, now it becomes a reality. So here's an example. There's a sales manager at Dillon that went to the office every day, lived in Westlake, drove to the office. With COVID now, he sold his house and moved to Columbus because he can work remote. He can visit customers from there just like he can from here. He can work remotely. He'll never go back to Middlefield. And I'm concerned that the highly compensated employees are going to be doing that, and our income tax is going to take a hell of a hit this year, if that becomes a reality. So I don't know who we lobby. To me, if you get your employment from a company that uses our infrastructure and demands our police protection and blah, blah, you've got to pay the income tax of that facility. I don't care where you work.
I mean, they're asking for
just
people to
payroll.
testify.
What's that?
They're asking for people to testify.
I'll be glad to testify.
No, I'm
serious.
Yeah. Do you want me to? Okay, I'll get you the info.
Because he doesn't go in the house anymore, I got one less car coming. I still got to maintain, the sewer plant didn't take a reduction, the water plant didn't take a reduction, the police force didn't take a reduction. To me, whoever's writing your check, you got to pay income tax to.
Based on total payroll. Not,
Hearings tomorrow.
Oh, good. I can't.
Okay. I mean, but you can watch it, maybe email her or email one of the representatives.
Send me the information.
Okay, yeah, it's that email that you sent.
Okay.
Let me forward it back.
I've got it, if it's one I sent you.
Yeah, it is. Just all the way down at the bottom.
All right.
yeah, just think of places like New York where those businesses are just, I mean, everybody went home last March and nobody's going back.
I don't have to. I
Apartments,
took a walk. My wife gets eye treatments on Enterprise Drive in Beechwood there,
yeah, yeah.
Crestmont Cadillac, and right across there. So I go for a walk, because you can't go in anymore. It's an hour and a half appointment, so I go for a walk. Those 200,000 square foot office buildings have 5 cars in a parking lot. They're not going to survive. Those people aren't going back. They're not going to pay $80 a foot for something they don't need anymore. They
Right.
realize they don't need it. It's going to be a disaster. And I see it now, when you watch real estate, you see those buildings for sale. You never saw one for sale before. They were cash cows. Now they're listed constantly.
Turn them into apartment buildings.
Expensive buildings. I mean, talk about having a serious revenue stream issue. Those communities I mean, that's all that's there is high-rise office buildings. So,
Any other thoughts? Anything else on general where'd Scott go?
had to get it.
Oh,
He had a
oh.
P and Z meeting, he had to take a call.
Oh, okay. Anything you guys would like to bring up? Sounds like we'll be meeting more frequently, so we might as well get some things on the agenda. Anything that's been on your mind?
They'd be thinking about ways to solve this labor issue, things that would help solve this labor issue. It's a national problem, but we can differentiate ourselves, I think, if we're small enough to do that.
Right. I am in. We have an airport.
Yeah.
Not at night.
Not at night, is that what you say? So the daylight hours only.
And the Amish have kind of developed a transportation system, and there's thousands of drivers. So, I mean, it can be done.
It's interesting to me because we've got an Amish girl employed. She's coming from Southington, and it costs her between $25 and $30 a day to get there and here and home. And you wonder, how does that, she's making $11 an hour. And had another one who just left us because she's getting married. But I think, and I don't know, John Bonner's got a whole pack of them out there, and I don't know how many are at some of these, like Kraft Maiden then. But I just, at the higher wages, you can see it, but at these lower wages, I don't know why they even bother.
So you got to make it affordable. And it's like,
These taxi cab drivers, do they pay taxes in the village? I mean,
They don't pay anything, it's all in the
well, some do, but is there any way we can, would we have a right to, if they did pay tax, should they pay the village? Like a casual worker
They
comes
don't,
in
Bill.
and,
They don't, they hide it all.
Yes, they should.
because they drop off in the village and,
They would be like our Pepsi delivery drivers, all of those types of people who work here and do pay us a little bit of something for their time that they are working here. The garbage collectors, things like that. But the problem is they don't register.
and they don't pay. Right.
but they're not registered, they're not CDL drivers, there's no way to even track
Not
them.
even properly insured.
No.
Everybody you talk to, they work for donations.
Okay, so Leslie, you'll send out the information, the minutes from tonight?
Yeah, when Carrie gets them written up.
Okay. And we'll plan to meet next month?
Yep,
Okay.
yep. I'll send out the agendas. It'll just be just like this was, the Thursday or Friday before the meeting. So next month, I think the meeting's the 6th, if I'm correct. I think council next month's the 8th.
Look that
Is
far
everyone
ahead.
willing to stay on board here?
Yeah, that's a good question.
It's been a year, so.
Which day are we meeting?
It'd be the same
Same Tuesday?
Tuesday before
Or
the
P&Z.
council meeting.
Before council or planning and zoning?
Well, I mean, the week of the council meeting, but before planning and zoning, this
Okay.
time slot.
Yes, I think so.
Okay,
Just come early to P and Z once a month.
that's okay. That's good.
Dick, it's fine with you? Kim? Dave?
Hey, nice seeing all of you.
Yes. Thank you for coming.
Thanks. You got a haircut, Dick? Mario?
Not there.
So is he a park district
He's on the Drug Park District Board.
with Howie? That part of the board or just on the board?
He's on the board. He's a park board commissioner.
Just like Howard Bates?
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
yeah, with Bates and all those guys.
So he's collecting